that it changed the game for me, because now I not only was a great prospector, but I was incredible at following up, right? And that's the kind of thing, it just builds confidence. It changes the game for people, but you got to keep it simple. You cannot overwhelm them with complexity as a new distributor.
Today we are speaking to Patrick Shaw. Awesome man, incredible person. He's been in the multi-level marketing space for absolutely decades. I think he was probably still busy being weaned when he got into the space. So he's been here for a very long time. He's built up a 7-figure business in the multi-level marketing space, just as a distributor for a company. He recently built an incredible product called RapidFunnel, which is geared to helping people get their network active. We're busy implementing this with our client and with a client of ours, and we are so excited about what it's doing that I couldn't wait to have him on again. We've had him once before, but to have him on again to really demonstrate the platform and to show us why it is such an incredible piece of equipment and why every single network marketer in the world should have this product on their desk, in their hands, to help them grow their network. So Patrick, before we kick off, I wondered if you could do me a favor and just give me a bit of your backstory. Tell me how you got to this place. I think that would be very interesting for everybody to know.
Awesome to be with you, Richard. And yes, my beginnings were like many people in network marketing, and I had my struggles and my challenges and all that good stuff. But what brought me to this place was about a decade ago. The technology was really on us. Everybody was going to social, CRMs, social sharing platforms, surveys, email campaigns, you name it. And different people on my team would come to me with these ideas, and they worked. And that was the exciting part. People could recruit 5 or 10 people a month, and I would tell them, listen, keep doing what you're doing, but I can't actually share this with the team because it was so incredibly complicated. And even today, Richard, I spoke at 2 major networking events in the last couple months, and there'll be people that walk across stage and they've recruited thousands, but when you talk to them in private, they confess they're struggling because they can't get anybody to do anything. And that's the secret of network marketing, is can you do it to almost anybody? Can you share the business in such a simple way with almost anybody? And can you do it in depth? Can you teach somebody 5 levels deep to do that same thing so that they can get a little check in their pocket? It doesn't need to be much, but they need to have a little taste of success. And that's what we call duplication. And so I became frustrated and tried to solve my own problem. And I think we're doing okay at it. It's going along quite well.
Oh no, Patrick, you're doing more than okay. Your application is amazing, and I cannot wait for you to show everybody how it works. But I just want to touch on this because we are busy implementing your system, and I want to just share my experience with working with you guys. So we're implementing this with a very, very big client of ours, a blue chip company, and your team has been epic. They've been on the ball. They've been a pleasure to work for, or work with, should I say. They've been doing everything that we needed them to do, and they chase us for the information they need. So this whole experience of working with you has been incredible. And obviously, the application is really great. Now, we recently had people in our network come to us and say, listen, we've seen this incredible product, RapidFunnel. Can you please implement it? And we've been able to say to them, well, it's being implemented right now. So not only is it being driven from our side for the client, but the client's network is actually driving it from their side as well. So it just shows you that we think it's great. That's great. But the network, whose people who've used it, also think it's great. So that's one of the reasons why I'm super pumped about it.
Well, that's awesome. And we can talk about that. There's some lessons in there, right? No matter how good the technology is, I think over time, over the last decade, really, we've discovered that the technology actually isn't enough, that the content matters, how it's organized, keeping it simple for the distributor, and then making sure the leaders can execute on the technology and the content in the platform And that's an ongoing relationship. It doesn't happen by handing off some technology and saying, go get them.
Yeah.
There's been a steep learning curve there, but a fun one. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and obviously the fact that you personally get involved in training the top leaders, you've got this train the trainer program, which is tremendous. You come in, you train the top leaders and get them to a point where they can train their people.
Yeah, and we don't need to get too far off track, but I can't help but think, Richard, and you have this, and I think that's why we're kindred spirits. I mean, Richard and I, just will full confession on this show, that we enjoy each other's company, and I find that your desire to serve, that interest, you've been around the industry for so long, and you haven't lost sight of what it takes to build the business in the field as a brand new person. And it's so easy as you move up the ranks. And I'll admit, I've gotten there before. I mean, I've been through over my 25-year career where you're making lots of money and you get a little too cute, right? You forget what it actually takes to build the business. And at the end of the day, it's prospecting and follow up, right? If there's two core things, like, we help people achieve a dream, a wildly important goal, something that they have inside of them, and you spark that, and you help that come to light. You bring that to light for them. You believe in them, and that's an important belief in a vision and some goals. That's critical. And then number two is you've got to help them talk to people. They have to prospect and follow up. And if they don't do that every day, we're just fooling ourselves. There's work involved. Now, what can we do to make that work as easy as possible? We always trained that we'd say that, oh my goodness, I'm drawing a blank about the work side of things. We'd always talk to new distributors about the difficulty or the challenges. I'm at a loss of words on it, but the difficulty and challenges involved. And the reality is, we're not trying to make it too difficult, though. I mean, there is work involved, but the more fun you can make it, the more simple you can make it, the less overwhelming you can make prospecting and follow up, the better off you're going to be. And that's all we've simply tried to do, is make that process a little bit more enjoyable, but admit that it has to happen.
Well, that's the thing. And I mean, you taught me that activity drives results.
Behavior. Yeah.
Well, it drives behavior, but it
No,
ultimately
results,
drives
results,
results, you know.
results.
And
Absolutely.
and I'll never forget the story you told me about this guy this corporate animal who went out and said he's not interested in activity, he's only interested in results. And I mean, that I just laughed at that. I mean, you can tell the story better than me.
Well, the biggest, yeah, he was a president of operations and of sales, and it was $1 billion company. And we were showing them, we actually had connected via API, so we have the correlation data and the causation. We can show how very specific features in the platform created a result. And I was trying to get him to run contests in the app, is the real whole story. I was trying to get him to run these contests. And I'm like, look, we can have a big impact if we can get people to run together, right? So people always run with somebody in the track beside them faster, right? We all work out when we have a coach, a little harder. And so I was trying to sell him on that. And at one point he said, Patrick, we simply don't care about results. We don't care about activity. We care about results. And I remember just being dumbfounded. Of course, he's no longer there, because that mentality will bury you.
Yeah.
The one thing that the field can control is the activity. They can't actually control the results. We'd like to believe, hey, just recruit more people, sell more product, you'll make more money, you'll achieve all your dreams and goals. That's great. But the average person doesn't really believe they can do it. And if we can prove to them that a little more activity consistently will win the day, and by having a scorecard in the platform, we can literally do that. When you can show them, look what's happening consistently just by your activity. So, yeah. And I love that book, The 4 Disciplines of Execution. I never fail to mention it, because Not only is it the number one best-selling business book in the world by the Franklin Covey organization, but it's a must read for anybody trying to achieve anything in life. And the book says, have a wildly important goal. The second discipline is act on the lead measure. And in network marketing, the lead measure is prospecting and follow-up. And it says you can only have three. The rest is the whirlwind. It's all the things that get in the way, cleaning the desk, organizing your genealogy, whatever else you're doing. There can only be two or three. And if there's three, it's teaching, prospecting, and follow up. So one is prospecting, the quantity. Two is the quality and consistency of the follow up. And three is teaching those first two. That's it.
And if you can do that, you open the world for yourself.
You really do. And,
Now,
and
Patrick,
as a leader, you empower people, right?
Well, that's it. I mean, there's the old story in our industry. If you want to grow your business, grow your people.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
I'm not talking about growing more people. I'm saying take the people you've got and grow them, develop them, and give them the tools and equip them with the skills that they need to succeed.
There's a lot of recruiting happening today and not a lot of sponsoring, right? And I think, what's exciting is I think we're coming full circle, Richard. I mean, you've known this all along, but we're coming full circle. I just came back from a American Network Marketing Professional Association event. It was really fantastic, and some dynamic leaders there from across the globe. And there was a theme, there was a level of consistency that these leaders were understanding that we have to get back to the relationship-based side of networking, that authenticity works. And we've gone through this phase with digital where we're targeting influencers and digital marketers. And these people can move a lot of product quickly, but and some of them can even recruit, but they don't really give a damn. And I don't mean that too negatively, but they don't even realize it's about the relationship, that they're building team and culture, and the stickiness and the passive residual income that can come from this business is built on people and relationships. And if you just want to be a digital marketer and just recruit influencers solely, then you shouldn't be in MLM or direct sales, right?
That is correct.
Yeah.
100%. And if the digital marketers understood the power of the relationships, they could exponentially increase their reach and the amount of money they generate. Because they just look at a flat. If they sell something, they get a percentage, and that's all they care about. But in actual fact, if they understood the dynamics of this business and could get into a more multi-level marketing play within that direct marketing process and build those relationships, their business would explode. They would 10x the incomes they're generating at the moment.
So Richard, I can pull up, I know you wanted to pull up the app itself and talk about some of the numbers. Are most people listening, Richard? I don't even know this. Do they watch or are they listening to the podcast?
We've got all platforms. So we're on Spotify and we're on YouTube, and we're in a number of different platforms. So some people are literally listening to this in the car while they're driving, and other people are watching it on YouTube. So yeah, but I think we should pull up the app and we can just describe what we're taking a look at for those people who are listening to us.
So this is the fun part, and obviously, I am so passionate about this because 25 years ago, and you probably have a similar story, Richard. I don't know, but 25 years ago, I had a sponsor, and I was complaining just a little bit. His name was John Hoffman, and really helped me change my life. And I got into network marketing. And I'd failed fourth grade twice. So networking was kind of built for me. I wasn't great at having a job, and I joined network marketing, and I'm complaining to my sponsor a little bit. And John says, listen, just fax me your tracking sheet. So this dates me fax, VHS tape, meeting to go to. That was the business. I don't even think we had email, honestly. I mean, that's how crazy and different times are. But the business was darn simple. Like, you knew exactly what to do. And so at any rate, he says, fax me your tracking sheet. And he introduces me to this tracking sheet. I didn't know what it was. And I knew it took 5 minutes to make an exposure. I told him I was working 20 hours a week. That was my commitment. And I had 10 names on the sheet. Now I could do the math. 5 minutes, 10 names, 50 minutes. And I knew this guy was going to ask me where the other 19 hours and 10 minutes went. I could only tell him I'm reading so many personal development books. I mean, he's going to say, and every time I talk to him, he'd go, hey, we talk about whatever, football, life for 2 or 3 minutes, little small talk. He'd be, hey, who do we have to talk to today? Right? Who do we have to talk to today? Who do we need to follow up with right now? And he just wanted to get on the phone and let's make some phone calls. Let me teach you the business. And I very quickly figured out from that guy that this is a numbers game. And I was going to win if I talked to enough people. Now, the challenge is in the old days, you had to have people fill out these sheets and fax them back to you, right? But what if you had a scorecard? And what we're showing right now, Richard and I on the screen, it's literally a scorecard, right? It is a tracking sheet and there's nowhere to hide, right? There are 763 contacts in this app. Actually, a meaningless number. I mean, Richard, for a long time, we didn't show this number and people kept asking for it. We're like, okay, fine. We're going to put in how many contacts you've added to the phone. But that doesn't make an exposure. This number matters, but it was helpful to have it. But it's 632. This is the number of unique prospects that I have put into the phone and I have sent information to. A survey, a video. I've put them in an email campaign. I had to do something. And then the 545 shows me the quantity or the quality and consistency of the follow-up. Did I actually send them information? And did they click on that information? And that is displayed in statistics. So if I want to do a much deeper dive, I can click on stats, and all these buttons are active. So as a distributor, Richard's working with me, and I say, hey, Richard, I'm really struggling. It's not working. And Richard says, Patrick, no worries. We can get there together. I love you, brother. Let's do this. Listen, click on stats, click on the brag button up there in the top right-hand corner, and then I want you to text me. I'll just text it to my wife here. I just want you to text me that screen. Whatever, I don't need to do it, but you get the idea. Is all I have to do, I'll do it one more time, is I just text text it to my daughter. And she opens it up, or Richard opens it up in this case, and he can see the drill down. So he knows exactly what is going on in my business. He has a tracking sheet. And Richard, is just so powerful for organizations to see exactly what is going on with the click right there on the home screen. It's the scorecard.
And then you can say to the guy, well, we can see your problem. You're not making enough exposures, or you're not doing follow-ups properly, or whatever it is. It's all out there.
I'll tell you the biggest problem. You know what the biggest problem with that screen is that it made me mad in the beginning because I'm like, this person's been telling me they're doing all this work and they're saying how hard they're working. And there was a minute that I forgot that this is not the military, that network marketing is building a voluntary army, and you have to love everybody. And half the team is not ready to work. And that's just a reality. And there's a lot of times as leaders, we want to start holding people really accountable to daily activity because we see the number now. And one of the things that we do teach is, listen, you have the number, you love everybody, you recognize the people that are doing it. You can now identify 10 levels deep as a leader, a new person that just made 50 exposures, but they're not getting results. That's who you want to call and work with. They're doing the activity, they're hungry to change their life, but don't force the one not doing the work and call them out into the open. They're not ready
just
for
leave.
that. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's okay. Like, that's part of the business. So there is, there is a lot of psychology in building a voluntary army. It's different. But anyway, cool stuff.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Can you do me a favor? One of the things that makes this so powerful, and I think this has been missed in the conversation we've had so far, but one of the things that is powerful is that all of the activity is happening right out of the cell phone. So when I want to send a link to somebody, if you could just show us how that method works, you go into your app and you actually do everything directly from the app.
Yeah, so every button is active, as I mentioned. I've got all my contacts. I know who my hot prospects are. There's an algorithm in the platform that tells me who the hot prospects are. And down here at the bottom, of course, I can always add a prospect. And there's tons of ways to get prospects into the app. So if I check that button down there, I can go right to the screen. I can import my contacts from my phone. Anybody that I want to prospect. I can pull contacts from social media by posting a survey. We just had a young man who generated 300 new leads by posting a survey to social media. A really good gig economy survey. He got 300 name, phone numbers, and emails, and they all showed up in his app. So if I go to contacts now and I've got 5 minutes to kill and I'm waiting to pick up my kids or something, I can literally go to a prospect. I can go to that prospect. Let me pick somebody with a number here. Actually, if you don't mind, Richard, I'll just go to you really quickly. So
Perfect.
I go to Richard and I want to send Richard a resource. I go to the library of resources. They're all at my fingertips. I can click on a particular resource that I want to send my friend Richard, and those three buttons pop up at the bottom, and I can send that resource via email, text, or social media. I can send it on any social platform that Richard and I communicate on, and it's trackable. So within a few clicks, 3 clicks, I send it to Richard. I know when he's clicked on the resource. If it's a video, I know how many minutes of it he's watched. If I put him into an email campaign 6 months later, he starts clicking on content. I know he was the right person. It was just the wrong time. And now I reach back out to him. It's really incredible, Richard. And, I appreciate you bringing it up. And like, one of the things I do in the morning is I just wake up, I go to contacts, I click on activity log, and I go and look at the prospects that most recently have been looking at information. And every morning, including this morning, there's a new prospect I have not talked to in a while, and I can see they've been clicking on information. When's a good time for me to follow up with them? And half
Oh,
the time they'll say, "Oh, that's so interesting. I was just reviewing some information you had sent me." And I'm like, "Oh, that's awesome."
that,
Right?
and exactly. And isn't that the power of it? You know?
Yes. Yeah.
And if you can catch them while they're busy reviewing the information, that'll even blow them away further.
And then we get into the gamification and leaderboards and recognition boards and how do we drive the behavior? Well, sometimes it's not just the money. We forget that. We think the comp plan is enough. And people try to change their comp plan 22 times to drive the behavior they want. And sometimes it's more about the culture and it's more about recognition. Everybody knows in networking that men cry for it, men die for it, and babies cry for it. And what is it? It's recognition. And when you can create leaderboards and you can gamify, I mean, Fortnite has built quite a business in the gaming world around gamifying or driving the behaviors. I remembered when Tiger Woods won Augusta that week, Fortnite had paid out more money than the entire field at the Masters had paid out in earnings for playing a game, right?
Yeah.
And they're so good at the psychology. Yeah, they paid out a lot of money, but it's not a comp plan that makes play to earn work. It's the psychology that they're using to drive the behavior. We're just
Look,
simply
I
doing
mean,
it to help people change their lives. That's all.
you hit on an unbelievably important point here because I do a lot of consulting work and I cannot tell you how many times companies come to me and say, our business is not growing. We want to change our comp plan. And And it's just incredible. And I look at their comp plan and I think, well, there's no perfect comp plan in the world. One of the clients I'm working with at the moment, they've got an excellent comp plan. And I thought, well, why do you want to change it? And the concept is that, or their perception is that it's the commissions or the comp plan that drives the business, but it really isn't. I've seen people who will stay in a job for years who are getting paid very badly, but are getting recognized very well. They feel valued, they feel part of the team. And another thing is, one of the people I interviewed recently said to me that, people want to be rich and famous. And in our industry, we call it reward and recognition. And it's that concept of being rich and famous. The rewards, yes, you want to earn some money, but the fame is actually the recognition, being recognized before your peers as being someone special and doing something amazing. That is a massive driver in our industry. And what your app does very, very well is it recognizes and rewards activity. So I do something, I get a reward. Gives me a dopamine hit, so I want to do it again. So you've gamified activity, which I think is just totally amazing. Every time somebody does something, they get rewarded for it in one way or another. They're on a leaderboard or whatever, and that's pretty awesome.
The power of network marketing, it's the numbers, it's the sheer volume. And so, the 4 disciplines of execution talks about, which is not a network marketing book. And I find it so incredible that these principles do play out in other areas. But if you want a really great organization, it's moving the people in the middle. It's not just a few people that make a great organization. And in network marketing, if you can get a lot of people doing a little bit consistently over time, you win. It's not about a handful of people crushing it. And so, going back to what you're saying, that's why it's so important. Is if you can march a few handful of super income producers across the stage, but that's not necessarily what's going to drive the middle of the pack, right? The 60% in the middle. And some of those people are very happy making $500 or $700 or $1,000 a month, being recognized, being in an awesome environment. And I think sometimes we forget that, right?
Yeah.
And that's the stepping stone to the next level anyway. I spent my first 2.5 years in network marketing, most of it full time. And I don't think I earned $10,000 in that 2.5 years, right? Total, right?
Oh, gee.
Yeah, total in 2.5 years. But there were other things I was buying into. There was a vision, and I was committed to the process. And I think we forget that is actually okay. I needed that 2.5 years to mature and develop and learn the skills. Yeah.
You know about the 257 law?
I've heard it. Talk about it though.
Yeah.
I couldn't repeat
So
it.
it takes 2 years to go full time. So at the end of your second year, if you're working consistently, you go full time. It takes you 5 years to become an expert. And then it takes you 7 years to generate a 6-figure income. So for those people who work consistently, the 257 rule applies.
I have not actually heard that. That is so true. Yeah.
Yeah. And what's also pretty amazing about the 257 law is it works in traditional business as well. It takes 2 years for you to break even. It takes 5 years for you to recoup your capital, and it takes you 7 years to become profitable. And so this 257 rule seems to play out in various different spaces in terms of, So it's a pretty phenomenal concept, but it's specifically in MLM, when you go into it, it's that 257 rule. Now, what your app does, in my opinion, it short circuits a lot of the learning, because to become an expert, you actually need to master 2 disciplines. You need to master the discipline of sending out the link, in other words, connecting with people, and following up. Those are the 2 disciplines you need to master, and you've simplified that, you've gamified it, you've made it absolutely easy for somebody to do. It was difficult to see on the you had your app up on there, but the thing that blows me away is that I go in there, I find my friend, I want to send you, Patrick, a link, And I click
Mhm.
on the link and I bring up Patrick's name and I say, how do I do this? Oh, I want to do it via WhatsApp. I click on WhatsApp, it pastes it into WhatsApp, and I send it out. So this thing gets done. It's an automatic thing. And I can sit on my bed in my room in the evening and go through my list of people and just send out links to them.
And you mentioned it earlier, Richard, is that, the reality is people live on this. They don't leave the home without it. And we talked on
Yeah.
globally, it's even more true than it is in the States. People are spending less and less time on their desktop and their computer, but they will not leave the house without this. And when they have 5 minutes to kill, if they get a task that pops up on their phone and it says, hey, this prospect has completed this survey and you should send this video next. Would you like to do it? Right? That's the yellow brick road. So it literally pulls up and says, send this resource. Would you like to send it to Richard? Yes. How would you like to send it? And I just click on WhatsApp and boom, it populates. Boom, I send it to my friend Richard. He's got the resource. He opens up the resource. In this particular case, it's a PDF. And then he opens up that resource. And I know he clicked on and opened the resource, right? If it's a video, I know how many minutes. If it's a survey he completes, I have the answers, whatever that resource is. And that's just really powerful to be able to do that via your phone. Yeah.
Absolutely. And I want to just point out another thing is that traditionally, the MLM companies have got like a MailChimp type approach to their prospecting. So they'll put 10,000 or 20,000 names into MailChimp and they'll send them all a form letter.
Yeah.
Hey, Patrick, blah, 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 regards company name, and it becomes this form letter that goes out to lots of people. But the way that you do it, it's on a trust basis. It's trust marketing because I know you. So when I send you that WhatsApp, it's coming from my WhatsApp to your WhatsApp. It's not coming via a company or a MailChimp or one of those kind of mechanisms. It's personal. And that's why people actually respond to it so well.
One of the biggest challenges in network marketing, you'd think that the digital revolution would have made our businesses actually better, easier, right? What I was looking for earlier you know, is that there's no money inside your comfort zone. And so you're always trying to encourage people to stretch themselves, but you don't want them to stretch so far that they fall off the cliff, right? And so you've got these digital tools that are built for the Kardashians. They're built for a one-to-many approach that you're describing right now. It's the
Yeah.
company to the consumer or the influencer to the 100,000 or million followers. But those tools are not built for the individual distributor because the individual distributor, they're not going to spend $100 on SurveyMonkey, another $100 on ClickFunnels so they have capture pages. Then they're going to need a CRM, and then they need an email delivery system like Aweber or Constant Contact, all really good platforms, but they're meant for the marketing to the masses. There's been no technology developed that really understands network marketing and says, as a distributor, when I download the technology, everything's been pre-built for me. I've already got everything I need, and it's got my picture and my name and my phone number, and it's got all my social feeds on every digital page, but I didn't actually have to do anything. And what does that allow me to do as the distributor? It allows me to focus on the lead measure, which is prospecting and follow up. It gives me a really powerful way. And because, as the leader of the organization, you can see all the activity metrics, all of a sudden that means you can not only improve the content and the resources that are being used in the platform, but you can identify where, as a leader, you should put your time and energy because you can see the activity levels. And I was flying blind, Richard, and I know you were too. Like when we built, you would go to whoever told you the best story, whoever the on the team was the best at telling you how hard they were working, And they say the shallow brook runs the loudest. So sometimes the very person you were helping was the one that needed help but did not deserve it. And then the quiet person over there that was busting their tail and they were talking to people that they had a low level of competency, that was the person you should have spent your time with. And for the first time in the history of network marketing, you can actually see the level of activity that's happening in your field. And if you can see it, you can teach it. And
Yes.
now at the highest level, network marketing is about leadership development. Every massive leader I've ever seen, they can tell you they can count on one or two hands, maybe three hands, the number of people that led to their massive success. It wasn't tens of thousands. It was that they found a dozen people that they could elevate their lifestyle, help those people get to, real financial freedom. But that's about all you can work with. And as you move up the ranks, the higher and higher you get in network marketing, it's about leadership development. And the question becomes, well, how do you develop leaders? You just tell them to read more books, work on their philosophy, or do you teach them a methodology to really hold the team accountable, to drive activity, and to be able to see what's going on? Anyway, that's a mouthful. Sorry, I got on a roll there, Richard.
No, but that you're 100% right. And I
Yeah.
think that for me, look, we are talking to CEOs of companies. These are people who are coming along and looking for ways to build a multi-level marketing business. That
Mm-hmm.
is our audience. And so what I'm going to say to CEOs is the model that you guys have developed is a very exciting model, because what you do is you say to the company, listen, here's the app. You can use it for free. And what we give you in the app from day one will do 60 to 70% of what your networkers need. And they don't ever have to do more than that. But we've got this other 30%, which will take them to the next level. And we charge a small amount of money for that. And they just pay to upgrade. So a company can implement your system. It's not costing them anything on the monthly, basically. And if their network sees the value of the system, they upgrade and they pay you directly. So it doesn't affect or impact the company. And the reason they upgrade is because your system is so darn good. So it's not that they're sitting there thinking, oh, blast, I have to upgrade. It's that they're sitting there thinking, wow, if I'm getting this much value out of this 60 or 70% of the
Right.
system that I've got access to, how cool is it if I can get that last, 30 or 40%, if I can get access to that, what impact is it going to have in my business? And they upgrade and suddenly they're on the pro version, and that again kicks their business into overdrive. Now you make your money on the back of building a product that is so compelling that the networkers themselves choose to upgrade. What a unique concept. I love your concept.
It puts all the pressure on us, really, right? And the number, I mean, you've seen it in your consulting, in all your consulting work. How much money has the average company spent on tools or resources or platforms or technology that the field did not engage with? Right. And if they could look back and say, man, if I could have recaptured some of that money, if I could have had a real beta, if I could have tested the idea. And what I do love about what we do is there is no risk to the company. I mean, even the
Exactly.
setup fee, it's 100% money back guarantee at any questions, no, at any time, no questions asked, because we know we can execute and we have the
Yeah.
data to back that up. And if we don't execute, you didn't pay anything monthly anyway. Well, who in their right mind would launch a business and do that unless you really thought you could not just launch a business, but create long-term results over a decade? Who would do that if you couldn't produce? And I
Yeah,
do love that aspect of what we do. There's no risk. Yeah.
exactly.
And,
And
and
most
Richard,
technology, sorry.
no, go ahead. I want to talk about anyway, go ahead.
So I was going to say most technologies out there are about tracking activity. So most of the systems that are available in the multi-level marketing space are tracking what you did. They're tracking the past. They're tracking, but the past is gone. It has no impact in your business. Which I love about your system is that your system is focused on growing the business not tracking the business. And there are so few applications in the world that are available that are focused on growing your business and making it simple to do.
One of the things that you've done an incredible job of, and this isn't a knock to any consultants, but I see a lot of consultants out there, Richard, and they tend to come in and have very brainy ideas about, hey, let's change the comp plan as an example. And it's one of the first things that they look at. And again, going back to that idea that you just don't forget what drives results with the brand new person or where you came from. And I think that's cool. I mean, I think it's one of those really important things to say, what are first principles? Let's take a look at your business. I referred two different companies in the last 2 weeks to you. One trying to launch into the network marketing space, and another really great company that just needs to make some slight adjustments. I don't think they have to overhaul, but it's your ability to identify what the needs are quickly that I think is so impressive, and not just get sucked into the same routine of doing the same thing for every company every time. It's being able to identify, because of the 30 some years and you've been in the field, you've built technology to solve problems. So I enjoy working with you for that reason. It's pretty impressive.
Yeah, look, well, I say to clients who come to me for compensation plan changes, I can design you a compensation plan, but you've really come to the wrong person if you want us to change it. Because if you change your compensation plan, you are going to help some people, and you're going to hurt some people. And the people who you hurt are going to leave. The people you're helping them a little bit. It's not going to make any difference in their lives. So my first sort of call to action in this is to let's have a look at your compensation plan and see what the problems are. If they are major problems, then fair enough. But 99% of the time, the compensation plan's fine. It's much more about what you do. It's much more about driving behavior. It's much more about recognizing activities and getting people doing stuff. That's what grows your business. Growing your business isn't a compensation plan, does not grow your business. Activity is growing your business.
And in a chunk of that, it's worth mentioning here, the importance of how we get brand new people started. And for any leaders out there or companies, the first 30 to 60, 90 days of that person's experience in the business often does define. They don't have to have massive success, but they do have to believe, okay, I can do this. They can't become completely overwhelmed right out of the gate. You want to speak to that for a second, Richard, and then I can show some stuff in the platform as well.
Yeah. Well, the interesting thing is we've got the data. We run a lot of clients on our platform. And so we've got the data. And I can tell you right now, if the person, your connector, your distributor, has not earned money within 6 weeks, the chances of them leaving goes to be above 80%. There's an 80% chance of you losing them. And when they leave, there's a 100% chance that you will never get them back. And so we've seen that if you have a look at the curve, it drops off the cliff at about 6 weeks.
And how
There
much
are
do
still
they have to
people,
earn?
$10. It doesn't matter. What you've got to do is you've got to create the belief in them. If I can earn 10, I can earn 20. If I can earn 20, I can earn 100. If I can earn 100, I can earn 1,000. So the idea is that they've got to get something happening. And the problem is that 9 times out of 10, it's exactly what you were saying. You've got your 5 or 6 names on. You've spoken to your grandmother 97 times about the business, and each time you speak to your grandmother, you think you're pitching to somebody again. So in your head, you've pitched to hundreds of people. Meanwhile, it's
Yes.
5 people that you've pitched to them 100 times, and you don't actually know what your numbers are, and then you don't realize why you're not succeeding. Whereas what your app does, what I love, is I can see why I'm not succeeding. Okay, I've only spoken to 5 people, or I've sent out 20 links and only 2 of them have looked at the stuff. I can now measure where my problems are, and I can actually fix it. And I can send it to my upline, and he can say, well, or she can say, well, look, this is where the issues are. Let me help you with that.
I think one of the big challenges, and you have so much data around this too, but I think one of the big challenges is we think when somebody joins a business that it's completely about the product It's about the comp plan, which frankly, most people have no understanding of how the comp plans really work. They only know if they got paid or not, right? So they think it's about the product. They think it's about the comp plan. They think it's just about the relationships. And a lot of times people are saying, can I do this? They're just saying in their mind, okay, I love this product, but I can't do what you just did to me. Like that's outside of my realm of interest. I spoke to a really dynamic lady yesterday, and we're going through the demo, and she self-confessed. She goes, look, my first 2 or 3 years, she was a corporate person. She's been in networking 6 years, six-figure earner, crushing it. First 5 years, she's like, I told the team, you don't even need to be on social. You don't need to do any of this. She goes, I didn't do any of this stuff. And then she heard about the social and digital, and she's beautiful and dynamic and a big personality. And she got onto digital and she's crushing it income wise. But she straight up admitted that she has conflict inside because she knows what she is doing, she cannot teach. Right. And the problem is, I asked her straight up, I said, listen, let me ask you something. You are killing it. You're recruiting these people, blah, blah, blah. How is that working for the people that you're recruiting? Are you seeing them win? And she's like, no, I'm not. And so she admitted to even contemplating her career. Here's somebody making incredible money. You'd be like, yeah, there's no way she's going to quit. Yes, she is, because she doesn't feel good about what she's doing. She knows in the closet, in the shadows, she's doing something that she cannot support the team with. And so the new person, and you don't think they know that? I mean, a dog knows when it runs into somebody who's scared, right? A mean dog. I mean, the team just knows. And so here is one of the critical components is when you get me started, do I believe I can do this? And if I believe I can do it and you have a system to help me do it, we literally have some leaders that use their app, their version, their white labeled version. They use it as a recruiting tool. They've created videos to say, hey, here's what you're going to do. This is how easy it is. We have a mobile platform that makes it simple for you to build the business. And they're almost selling the mobile platform more than they're selling the product in a way. They're saying, look, you can do this. We have a system. So imagine this, right? A brand new person comes to the company. They get started. The person that got them started was using the platform. They were using the content in the platform. The prospect saw how easy it was. They joined the business. And then the next thing that happens is they download the app themselves. And the very first thing that pops up on this app is a video, dead center. And it says, congratulations and welcome on your decision to get started. We not only have an incredible product and people and a comp plan you're going to love, we have a system to help you win. Now, here's the first thing we want you to do. And they point to the coaching section in the app. And that prospect clicks on the coaching videos and they open up the first 10 videos, 3 minutes each. The second video won't play until the first video is completed 100% over here. And they go through this 6-video course or something like that, right? Or maybe they get started and the very first thing we tell them to do in the welcome video is to make their first 5 exposures. And the wizard pops up, and the wizard is a feature in the platform that literally allows them, that allows that individual to make their first 5 exposures. It's just really, really simple and powerful to get that new person started. And they're just following the yellow brick road, Richard. And that's cool. And, anyway, I can go on, but it's just.
No, 100%.
Yeah.
That's what makes it so good. And I've had this experience personally. I took a person out on a presentation with me when I was building Acorn Kids. And we went into this room and we had 5 or 6 ladies sitting around the table. And I got stuck into the demonstration and I was whipping up a storm and I was being funny and charming and all the rest of it. And at the end of it, everybody bought. And when we walked out, I said to the lady, and that's how it's done. And she said to me, There's no ways I will ever be able to do that. And she resigned from the business.
Yeah.
And it's exactly what you're saying. It's exactly what you're saying. You have to make this thing completely duplicatable, that the most timid person must be able to do it. They must be, and who is not capable of clicking a link and sending it to their friend when somebody else has written, the company, a professional has already written the message. So it goes out, it's a professional message. It knows every single button to push. The
Right.
videos are there. The person watches the video. It knows all the buttons to push. And then in order for me to get going, I get this message. I just click on this button and I'm up and running. I'm registered. I'm in. And
Man,
off we go.
we forget that. I remember being new, right? And I remember somebody saying, well, all you have to do is this, right? I go to these trainings and people are sitting in the audience and they're taking screenshots of what everybody is saying. Just text this message. All you have to do is say, hey, Richard, right? I really, you know, I'm doing a little bit of research on this subject. I'd love to get your feedback. I respect your opinion so much. Would you be kind enough to help me out if and watch this 2-minute video if I sent it over to you? Now that sounds simple, doesn't it? Like who couldn't write that? Well, the vast majority of people are frozen in fear. They're trying to take screenshots. They're typing that out on their phone. Then they have to cut and paste and save that message somewhere. And then blah, 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 blah. And what if you could just say, look, I don't need you to do any of that. I need you to click on the prospect, hit send it to them in whatever communication you communicate on, Signal, Telegram, WhatsApp, Messenger, email, whatever you do, text, you send them that message. It's pre-written. It has their name in it. Boom. Can I do that? Well,
Yeah.
sure. Now I have confidence. I'm like, man, my sponsor wrote this for me. It's already here. There's no misspellings. It's written properly. I don't have to think about it. I click 3 buttons and I send it. Holy Toledo, they responded. They said, yes, send me the video. And now I got permission. And now I send the video. And now they watch the video. And now I had a gal at Rodan and Fields tell me once, she goes, she was one of the best recruiters in the company. She said, I talk to everybody and I'm really good at it. But let me confess to you, I don't love follow up because I don't like bugging people. I love sharing the story, but I don't like to feel like I'm invading their privacy. And when I got this app and I could see how many minutes of the video they watched, and I could reach out because I knew they had just taken the time to watch a 5-minute video, she said it changed the game for me because now I not only was a great prospector, but I was incredible at following up, right? And that's the kind of thing, it just builds confidence. It changes the game for people, but you got to keep it simple. You cannot
Yeah.
overwhelm them with complexity as a new distributor.
And that's what makes this thing so powerful. That's
Yeah.
one of the reasons why I wanted to talk to you again today, is because we are seeing the impact of this in our field already. And obviously, having spoken to you about the background of this thing, it just made me realize that every single company out there, every company who's got a network should be talking to you. They should be calling you, getting you in. This nominal risk here, nominal risk, because the field gets it for free. They can, if it doesn't work for them, they won't carry on with it. So there's no risk for them. So they should be reaching out to you. They should be calling you, and they should be getting onto this app, because I think it changes the game for every single networker out there.
Well, shout out to you too, Richard, because it's fun with partnerships like yours. You know, I get different ideas, which I've gotten multiple just from our conversations that we have like this about features that we can build. And with a 25-person development team, engineering and QA, all that, you know, we're excited about the roadmap. And there is a place for AI and some of these things used properly, more authentically um, than maybe most people think. There's a way to use it that it's truly authentic. It has to go through the individual distributor. But I'm excited about this smart connector feature that will allow the new distributor or the current distributor in any company to put a prospect into the smart connector, and it will automatically have a text campaign without ever leaving the distributor out of it, not hiding behind the technology, rather driving the behavior of that distributor, but making sure there are 4, 5, or 6 touch points, because we all forget. We all assume somebody's not interested. We take guesses at things. And if the platform could drive the behavior in a very authentic way, right? It really, and that's, we know that the average distributor right now makes about 2.2 follow-ups, right? If they engage with somebody, we know through the platform, it's about 2.2. And we believe it's going to go to about 4.2 to 5 exposures per prospect. And when that happens, we know what the results are. Yeah, it's pretty exciting.
Activity drives results. Well, how do people get hold of you?
No, they can certainly go to rapidfunnel.com if you want to know more about the company. You can go to LinkedIn, just Patrick Shaw and RapidFunnel, all one word, RapidFunnel. You can go directly there at LinkedIn and reach out to me pretty easily. Or people can even just email me directly at patrick.shaw@rapidfunnel.com.
Okay, fantastic. And I'll obviously put links to all of that in the bottom of this video. But Patrick, really thank you for spending this time with me. I'm so excited about your product. I think it's absolutely amazing. I'm really enjoying implementing it with our client and with your team. They're incredible. I can't speak highly enough of them. They've done a brilliant job. So thanks a lot for this time. Really appreciate it.
Thanks so much, Richard. Always enjoy it, my friend.
Excellent.
Thank you for spending this time with me. I hope you found this session informative. But before you leave, please hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and follow us on YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, and Spotify. And remember, never leave the good stuff till later.